flashback with me for a second. What was it like for you back in the '91 Final Four, having to coach against Coach Smith?
It was a pain in the rear end because that's all everybody wanted to talk about in the lead up to the game, as opposed to talking about our teams. And even so, in '93, when it happened again, Coach and I got together before and said, we're not even going to talk about it at all. But it was way too much attention to it from that viewpoint. I really wanted to focus on our team because we had really done a great job to get there, and we weren't expected to be that good. So it was just a tremendous run for us, my first Final Four, but I didn't have a chance to enjoy it quite as much because of that. And then at the end of the game, it was, in fact, it was, now that you mentioned it, was a little bit similar to the game the other night, because at the end of the game I was so upset for two reasons: that I didn't think Coach should have been thrown out of the game. That really bothered me. And the fact that by him being thrown out of the game, it was going to take away from a really nice win for our team. And he said that himself. And so the other night when the game was over with, and Steve stopped me because I was going to the locker room. And I told him I didn't want to do that. And I forget what he said, but he said, Coach, we need this, going to be quick or whatever. I said, I just don't want to do that. I want to go see Anthony. And so I didn't get a chance in my own mind in '91 to have my team enjoy the game. And because of Anthony's the other night, I don't think my team enjoyed the game. So, but 91's a long time ago. And you were 5 years old then, probably.
Was it important for you, like, just to show Coach Smith how much you learned, and you know, was it important for you personally to win that game?
It was important for me because of my team. It had nothing to do with Coach Smith. And even to the extent that it was the first time I'd ever had anything like that, I never looked at their bench one time during the game. I made it that's what I was going to coach the game. I was never going to look down there. And it worked. And so when we played Jared and we played CB, we played Wes, I never look at the other bench. Never look. And that time it was, I needed that because I didn't want to get. And then when he came down with his toss, it was a very emotional second for me.
Roy, staying in the past, a decade ago, I think you had 9 players that missed game time due to injury. You're not quite at that number yet, but in terms of games missed, you're going to blow past that with Anthony's injury. Is this unprecedented for you?
It's been really hard. I mean, you think about it. Sterling was going to be in our top 6 at worst. I mean, you think about that. And then Cole was arguably, and probably rightfully so, and truthfully our best player, and it was him, and then Anthony and Jeremiah up to that point, and the work that Jeremiah and Anthony did. You know, that part's, it has been difficult, but, you know, it's, I was talking to another coach the other day, and he said, it is the most weird thing I've ever seen. But, and both of us said at the same time, nobody's going to feel sorry for North Carolina. And, you know, so I realized that. But that has made it a more difficult season for us. And, you know, but the good news is we got 18, not good news, we've got 18 more. But the good news is we've got a lot of games left to play.
Going back to, I guess, when I was 2 years old, do you remember anything from those first games in Anchorage?
Yeah. UAA. I got so dang, I'm tired of listening to that. I thought, Jesus, it's my first game. Let's shut up and let me coach the game. But no, I remember that very vividly. And then have California in the second round, and then Seton Hall with my buddy PJ Carlesimo in the finals.
What was it like getting that first win, considering there was a lot kind of going on there?
Yeah, you know, we'd just been put on probation, Halloween night. There was a lot of stuff going on. And so the kids, we just tried to focus on our team and what we could control, that old saying, but it's true. And we sort of found strength from each other. The kids believed in me, gave me a chance, and that was, I've said 100 times, that was the most important part of my entire coaching, because those kids did. They gave me a chance and believed in, or at least acted like they believed in what I was saying. And, you know, 2 of those guys have been NBA general managers. So they were basketball people. Kevin Pritchard still is, and Milton Newton has been and is assistant GM right now. But that was the fun part of it, was just how we sort of got together. It was hard. We had some difficult times, but I look back on those as some of the greatest moments. And the losing wasn't much fun, but the relationships with those guys, it was special.
How do you think your coaching career would be different, being that you started at 38 versus if you had started as a head coach at an earlier age?
I never really thought of that. I thought the timings. I mean, I still thought Coach was mentally deranged when he came in and told me that I thought I had a great chance to be the head coach at Kansas. I told Juan, I said, man, he's gone crazy. But it worked out. 38, I was very comfortable and very confident and scared to death. And I know it's hard to say all those things, but it really was. But, they did give me a chance, and I was silly because things kept happening with the contract. And so I didn't sign the contract until April after my first year. So they could have fired me anytime they wanted, kind of thing. But I trusted Bob Frederick so much. But those days of the kids and relationships, I just got a text from Mark Randall the other day, just remembering some of those things. And it's, like I say, it was great times.
Roy, you're about halfway through the timeline for Cole.
I thought you were going to say I was halfway through my career.
Long way to go, right?
Jesus Christ, my wife will kill your butt, I can tell you that, boy. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I went out and planned it.
No, but you're about halfway through the timeline of the expected recovery time. What has he been able to do? What kind of progress is he making?
I really don't get involved in that. I say, how you feeling? He says, good, and I walk out. I really do. He looks good to me. I walk out. That's what I told him yesterday. The whole thing is we're not going to try to push him and get him out there any earlier. He's got to feel completely safe about it himself. Everybody said the surgery great, his rehab's going great. I really haven't talked to him. I really haven't, and I guess Monday, I guess, is the 3-week mark. Is that correct? I think that's right. So I have no idea.
In practice, is he just like doing some light shooting, or is he doing much more?
He hadn't done anything.
Okay.
Nothing. He comes out there and get it together in the meeting, and they take him off to eat pizza or something. I don't know what the hell they do. Put him in a swimming pool, work on his backstroke, those kind of things.
Is there anything you have to do differently when you're dealing with a one-and-done type prospect? Remember the Zion thing last year?
Yeah.
Everybody blew up about, he shouldn't play after an injury. Do you handle that any differently when you have a kid like that?
Never had one until right now. So we'll see. But again, I'm gonna treat him like he was my son, like I would want his parents to treat my son, and then we'll see what happens.
Go back to the "this is your life" discussion. Put in perspective, being a head guy having such an impact at places like Kansas and here. I don't know if anybody else really can say that they've done that.
Well, my detractors say, he should have won games. He's only coached at Kansas and North Carolina. And they're right in one way. But when we got to Kansas, we were on probation. And we got here, we hadn't gone to the tournament 2 years in a row. So I am comfortable coaching. It's just all I've ever wanted to do. And I remember turning down George Mason. The AD was coming down to meet with me and signed the contract, and I was going to go back. And I called him at 6 a.m. said, don't come. And I called Coach Smith at 10 because I knew he wasn't going to be up at 6. And told him that you got some good news and bad news, either way you look at it. And he said, what's that? And I said, Coach, I called him, tell him I wasn't coming because it didn't feel like it was the right thing. And I'll never forget it. He said, everything's going to be fine. I love the way you're patient. Everything's going to work out one of these days. The job's going to open up. It's going to have your name written all over it and be staring right in the face. And that was in May, and that July I was named new coach at Kansas. So, I don't know.
How much do you
Damn, guys.
He's
You
got
guys
about 5
think
minutes.
I'm going to freaking die tomorrow?
5 minutes.
Okay.
How much do you remember about Coach Smith's last win, or the time when he called you and told you that he was hanging it up?
It wasn't at that time. We met in the spring after it was all over with, and he had those thoughts for 2 or 3 years in a row, and we had talked about it at that time. But he always got a little rejuvenated, drank some more water, I guess, and over the summer. But it wasn't at that time period. I called him and we talked a little bit after the game in the tournament, and then we talked a little bit again after they lost.
I don't know if you saw Jeremiah's emotions kind of the other night about Anthony. What does that say kind of about who Jeremiah is and who Anthony is and what they
Well, Jeremiah's done it. You know, he's out 2 straight years, and he knows what Anthony's going through. And in that weight room over there, as I've told you guys, I mean, I was in there a lot Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, and those kids in there busting their tails. So I've never seen, again, I put them in this category. They were Tyler Hansbrough-esque, working in that weight room trying to get ready.
Circumstances a little bit different between you and Mac Brown, both coming back to Chapel Hill. But I wonder if you talked about it before football season about, you know, what works, what doesn't work. It certainly worked out for him this year.
No, Mac and I had some discussions, but we never talked about anything like that. We played a golf tournament together. We tried to win the sucker. That's what we talked about. Are you going to hit a good shot, or do I have to hit one, kind of thing. But I was very happy to have him back, and I thought the enthusiasm around of our program was going to be great for the athletic department and him. And I thought that we had some good players that they could coach them in a much more positive manner than it was the last 2 years, because Larry's teams just got beat up so much with injuries. It was hard for them. And I love Larry Fedora, but I thought the positive things about going with Mac and his staff and everything would be good for our team.
With having a lot of next man up discussions, have you gotten to the point where you have to coach morale at all? Or?
No, you know, not at all. Guys got to play. They get tired of hearing it, but you know what's going to happen tomorrow? North Carolina's going to play, regardless of who's out there. And I guess we lose 15 guys, maybe we'll cancel the season or something. But as far as I know, we're going to play, and that's the attitude we got to have.
Well, Coach Smith always seemed to be a little, you know, not nervous, but he just didn't want the limelight on him. And you kind of seem to be that way too, in a milestone victory possibly coming up tomorrow. You know he'd be proud of you, I guess.
Yeah. And, you know, and Scott Smith said that afterwards, and that was the toughest moment is I wanted to go see Anthony. That's all I cared about. But the second toughest moment was when Scott said that. And I think he would be. And he should be. Because every daggum thing I do is I got from him.